this has been a very interesting week in geopolitics as we recently saw the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO Summit taking place in China. And today, with me, Janvi Sonaiya, a journalist from India, we will dissect the SCO Summit from an Indian perspective. First things first, this was an important platform for India to send a clear message to Washington that you cannot threaten India, and India has got options. It is the fourth largest economy, and due to the 50% tariff that US government has put on India's export, it will not cut off its ties with its long-standing partner, Russia. Let's talk about the first thing, that is Indian Prime Minister's engagement with the Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. We saw a lot of bromance. It was definitely good for discussion, good for optics, and good for sending a message to Washington. So India will not cut down on its trade and partnership with Russia. Instead, it will double down on it. We saw our Prime Minister raising points regarding trade deficits with Russia, and both countries are open to working around it. This summit also comes at a time when Americans' trade advisor Peter Navarro has been criticizing India, criticizing Narendra Modi a lot. He even gave a statement that Modi is going to bed with Putin. These are the statements that are coming from the trade advisor, and then they are very uncalled for. And Prime Minister's move of increasing India's partnership with China and Russia is an indirect message to Donald Trump and the government. Second, and the most important part of the SCO summit is definitely Prime Minister Narendra Modi visiting China and meeting Mr. Xi after 7 long years. And this is again a step in the right directions, because we saw in the recent past the relations between the two countries had turned sour due to the border conflict. But now we see both countries being open to new trade agreements, to more exchange of fertilizers, rare earth minerals, magnets, and other things. There is also focus on people-to-people exchange. In this summit, China and India posed as partners, not competitors. And that is one of a very important change that I saw between the partnership between the two countries. When it comes to what India achieved from the SCO summit, the first and the foremost will be consensus and a joint statement from the SCO members on the Pahalgam attack. It is said that a lot can change in 10 weeks, and this is exactly what we saw, because in the previous SCO conference of the defense ministers, Pahalgam attack and the victims of Pahalgam attack were not mentioned. But now, as the terms between the two countries, India and China, are improving, we saw a solidarity with victims of the Pahalgam attack, and how India was on the defensive and not on the offensive in the recent attack that happened in India, in Pahalgam. Second thing that we saw was India working on developing new partners. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi not just had a bilateral with the Chinese and the Russian counterparts, there were also bilateral meetings with the leaders from Myanmar, and there were brief meetings with other countries like Vietnam, Nepal, and Maldives, which are equally important in India's economic relations in its neighborhood. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also had a very brief exchange with Turkey's President Erdogan. And we know that in the recent past, the situations between the two countries were not going well, especially during the Pahalgam attack. And this brief handshake also is a message that, two countries with very different opinions can come together on the same stage and work cordially. Having said this partnership between China and India is also a positive step when you look at it from the ASEAN perspective or from the Japan perspective, because it means making in Asia for Asia. This is South Asia coming together in the truest sense possible. Another point that I would want to discuss is a lot of times it is said that how does India manage to, be in different groups? Like India can be in a G7 summit in Canada. India can be a part of BRICS and can be a part of Quad. And these are all very different organizations with a very different and sometimes opposite purposes. But again, this time we saw that Indian Prime Minister visited Japan first and then he moved to China for the SCO Summit. Now, Japan is a member of Quad. And going there, Prime Minister spoke about the defense ties. He talked about anti-terrorism, and he talked about energy exchanges and more exchanges between India and Japan. And India can again clearly work with China. So these are two different things, but this again shows that India has this non-aligned policy. India can work with multiple partners and it has a strategic autonomy which allows it to work with multiple partners and in the end look at what is best for India and its people. So now that Indian Prime Minister has visited China after 7 years for the SCO Summit, so does this mean that the relation between the two countries are all nice and fair now? Well, not really. The relation between the two countries is very complex and there has been years of angst between the two countries. And so just one summit or one visit or one engagement between the two countries will not be enough. So India is cautioned about a lot of things. First, primarily, is the relation between China and Pakistan. They have a close economic partnership. Every country does what is best for them. And similarly, we recently saw Pakistan's army chief, Asif Munir, in the victory parade which recently took place in China. These are the relations between the two countries. And we saw how China had also played a role in supplying equipment to Pakistan during the Pahalgam attack. So India is conscious and cautious about this fact. Second is that today the relation between USA and China are, going through a rough patch. But imagine that tomorrow or in future, the situation between the two countries is better. USA and China come together and have an economic understanding. Now that puts India in a fix. So these are the points that India is considering, and also we cannot miss out on the fact that China is building one of the largest dams in Tibet, and if this happens, that it will impact the flow of water to India, especially the northeastern states. India has raised these points, and after the SCO summit, the discussions between these points will continue. So SCO Summit for India was just a beginning. It was just the first step towards mending the relations between the two countries. And we hope, these are two largest economies of the world, and whatever happens between the two countries will impact not just South Asia, but the world in general. Here it is also interesting to note what's happening in India with India after the SCO Summit. That after the pictures of the three head of state of India, China and Russia, when the picture went viral, Donald Trump came up with fresh warnings. He hinted at phase 2 and phase 3 of sanctions on India for buying Russian oil. And he even stated that India has got into a big problem. If this was not enough, America's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, he gave a statement, again, equally absurd.
Look, Modi's a great leader. I don't understand why he's getting to bed with Putin and Xi Jinping when he's the biggest democracy in the world. So I would just simply say to the Indian people, please understand what's going on here. You got Brahmins profiteering at the expense of the Indian people. We need that to stop.
These are remarks which are not expected from America's trade advisor or from President Donald Trump. And this again emphasizes the need for India to just focus on building new partnerships and maintaining the partnerships that India already has. because we can clearly see that US no more is a trusted partner.